Photographer of the Year, let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Shellda podcast, where today I've got one of those faces that I think we've all seen at events, but you may not know who he is or what his story is. But Roderick Mitchell, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me on, bud.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's like I had just said, you're one of the people that I think if anyone goes to events, whether they're NXL, USXBL, any of the other leagues that you do, people have seen you. They've seen you walk by. They've seen you have solved their problems, but they probably don't know who you are, right? Unless they're like part of that kind of the inner circle, right? And so that's what I'm excited to talk about and dive into you, into your story, because what you do for not only the NXL, but just for the leagues in general, like it's incredible. And I think your story is one that if you're working in the industry, like it should be at the top because you're having to wear so many different hats, right?
Right. Well, thanks for that. That was really nice of you. That was a great intro. Yeah, man, depending on what league you see me at, I work a lot of different jobs. We made 30 events this season, 30 weeks exclusively in paintball, building, working, and tearing down the events. Um, yeah, usually if you see me, I'm going to solve a problem, so I'm just kind of all over the place, Mr. Fix It, Johnny on the spot for a lot of the leagues, and but I really enjoy it. It's nice to stay busy, and I get to work in a sport I love.
Yeah, it's funny because when obviously Cup here was about a month ago at this point by the time this airs, and when I had left, I was on the plane. I had a window seat, and I happened to have the window open, and I was looking down. And like we always, when we're flying, we're always looking to see like if we can see, something that we know or like a landmark, right?
Right.
And sure as shit, I looked down. I was like, "Oh wow, that's the Gaylord." And then I could see the field across the street, and I took a photo of it and I posted it on my story. And I had so many people reply to that, being like, "Oh my god, that was torn down so fast." And this was like a week after, less than a week after.
Yeah, it was it's always really fun when you drive around and you're talking to the locals, right? And some, they'll kind of pick up on what you do. They'll see the paintball shirt. It's Tuesday after the event, so they're like, "Oh, the paintball guys should be gone," but and then I only live an hour and a half from here, or from where Cup is. I live in Palm Bay, Florida. So a lot of comments about, dude, it was just a cow pasture, and then you guys had everything up so quick, and then it was just gone. Like Thursday, you guys were just gone out of there. Um, I mean, yeah, we finished at noon on Thursday, by noon on Thursday with the teardown, which is a bit of a record for us. That's one of our fastest Cup teardowns. It's been a really good season for the setup crew, but it's just it's very surreal, even for me, showing up somewhere day one and it's just a cow pasture, and then basically building like a small town in 10 days, and then having it all packed back away. It's amazing, even for me. Fatty is really good. Matt, the head of the setup crew, is really good at his job. He's got a lot of time in, and this is the result. It's really good events that are really efficiently put up and tore down.
Hey, before we go any deeper into this podcast, I actually want to turn it over to Junior Brown of BFP Gear because he is going to talk about some of the best deals I have ever seen in paintball for the holiday season. Junior, take it away.
Thanks, Dan. That's right. BFP Gear's holiday giveaway is live now, and it ends on December the 31st. For every $50 you spend on bfpgear.com, we'll get you an entry into the holiday giveaway. And we have some awesome prizes. We have free paint for an entire year. That's right. One lucky person is going to get a case of paint delivered to their door every single week. We'll have 4 runners-up that's going to get a case of paint a month, each month for 12 months. We also have a Field One Force Waffle Edition that you can customize yourself with your own anodizing style, work with Yosh at Field 1. You can even go to Field 1 and build it yourself. We have loaded gear bags from HK Army. You're going to have 5 winners that's going to get gear bags just jam-packed full of gear from HK Army. 5 more lucky winners are going to get custom Hormesis jerseys. You can go to their website, design your own jersey. You're going to get Hormesis pants, pack, and loads of other swag from Hormesis. We also have Dynasty World Cup jersey collection. One lucky winner is going to get the entire roster of Dynasty jerseys. So you have a full collection. And last but not least, one lucky winner is going to get a year's membership to the Dynasty Champs Club, where you're going to get gifts delivered to your door every single month. You're going to be able to join Dynasty in the Intel sessions, hang out with them if you go to NXLs in the Champ Club area. It's really cool. We appreciate everybody who shops on BFP Gear, and we love being able to do the holiday giveaway. Thanks a lot. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you so much, Junior. You know, I think that might be the biggest giveaway I have ever seen in paintball. And I've been around the sport for a really long time. So as you're heading into the holiday season, be a good teammate. Go over to bfpgear.com. Find some gifts for yourself, of course. It's always good to shop for yourself, but also grab some gifts for your teammates too. Because the great thing about that, every time you shop, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, you're getting entered into a giveaway. You're giving yourself a chance to win paint for a year. You're giving yourself a chance to win a free loaded gear bag, a custom Field 1 waffle force. You could literally deck out your man cave of every single Dynasty jersey from this year's World Cup. Talk about just an iconic giveaway. And then while you're shopping at bfpgear.com, you can also grab some Pro DNA gear. It's been so awesome working with Travis and ZP and the rest of the guys over at Pro DNA and Infamous this last year. I've been rocking their gear for the last few months, and I got to tell you, I can't get enough of it. Amanda can even vouch for me. The first thing I do when I come home from the office is I throw on my Pro DNA hoodie, because it is literally the most comfortable thing I have in my closet. I know it's meant for playing. I know it's got the reinforced sleeves, but I literally live in that thing. I wear it around the house and I wear it all around town. So head over to bfpgear.com, do some holiday shopping for yourself, for your teammates, for your family, grab some Pro DNA gear and enter this epic giveaway. All right, back to the episode. Yeah, I think, Go Sports recently has been doing a lot of doing a great job of like starting to capture more stories and getting like the different looks into paintball. I think something that'd be great is if we had some type of camera crew there with you guys, whether it's a time lapse or like interviewing as you go. Because it's, most of us show up on day one of prelims, which is usually Thursday or Wednesday, for the 3-man and whatnot. And like you're walking into this beautiful, built, pristine village, like you said. But I don't think a lot of people know that you're there almost a week earlier. And then when the event ends, you're there about a week later. So you're there for what, 10 days ish for the whole entire event?
Yeah. Up was 18 days front to back.
Holy cow.
18 days of work. Yeah. So you had 10 on the setup, and then the event 4 days.
Yeah.
And then because we're still doing some setup stuff on the Wednesday while like practice and the 3v3s are going on.
Yeah.
We're still finalizing some things or working in the back, cleaning things up. And then the last 4 days of teardown as well. So 18-day banger. We call Cup the marathon.
Yeah.
Even when I was reffing, I said you weren't a real NXL ref unless you've made it through a cup.
Yeah.
So you got to do the 4-day bang out.
Yeah, I think we all feel that, right? Like anyone that's been to Cup, whether you've played it, you've worked it, you volunteered at it, there's just something. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
And when you and I were talking in the green room before this, you brought up a good point where you're doing this setup for days beforehand, and then when finally the site opens up and people are coming in for the first time, like they're so excited to be there. And you just got done building this field for 8-10 hours a day for the past few days. And you have to all of a sudden like switch and put on like your customer service hat and now be fully present for these people that they're asking a question for, hey, where is my, my box that is priority 1 for them. But on your list, it's like at the lowest of the list.
Yeah. it's really tough, right? Like you almost have to save. For me, I deal with bit of like some social anxiety and things like that. So
Yeah.
just being consistently in the public can kind of wear me down. So you always kind of have to make sure you have the right energy when you're coming to talk to people. And again, it's not their fault that I've been here working for 10 days, right? So I have to be conscious of that and not take that out on people. Because it is, again, the scale of the problems, right? Um, we lost power to like 60% of the vendors
Yeah.
at one point on Wednesday. And so I'm running the 50 amp power cable to reconnect everything just to make some sort of power happen for everybody. The entire generator that runs it went down. And, you know, I'm getting phone calls about the national anthem in 2 days, or people are trying to stop and ask me about packages. And it's like, dude, right now, like, I, I have way more to deal with than your box, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's the conscious thought of that box might be their POS system. It might be the thing that saves their whole event. And I look at the vendors as the customers of the NXL. They pay to be there, so they need to be taken care of. So I always will do everything I can to do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's very hard when you've had those long days, and then you've got somebody asking you about a cardboard box, and you also have a fire to put out to stay pleasant
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to put that. And I experienced that same thing this last event too. As a photographer, it's kind of the same thing, like, right? Like we're running all over the place. For me, luckily, 99% of the time I'm on the pro field. It's like I have
Right.
one job. But for this event, same thing, cup's always bigger, where I had to go do the autograph signings and capture some other things throughout the events.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of a catch 22, right? Because like part of growing my personal brand as like Shellda Photos and Shellda Podcasts, when I'm walking through the event, like I'm getting stopped. People are talking to me. They're asking sometimes autographs, pictures, and just like random conversations.
Right.
And but like I've got
Nice
a
flex.
yeah, but like I've got a beeline, right? Like I've got to get to this point at this time because this thing starts. Um,
Absolutely.
and the same thing that you went through, I actually did not show up the way I should have. There's a guy that works for the league, Jake. I don't know exactly what
Yes.
he does, but
He's a Johnny on the spot guy.
he's the nicest person in the world. I always have conversations with him. I just don't know what his exact role is. And I was on the way somewhere, with eyes on whatever the shot I was trying to get. And he was like, "Hey, can you stop and take photos of whatever the cart they had going around? They had girls in it, and they had
Oh,
like a different theme every day."
right.
And he was like, "Hey, can you take a quick picture of this?" And like I snapped at him. I was like, "Listen, like I'm really busy." And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't show up right there." And I was like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. Like, give me a moment. My mind was somewhere else." It's like, "I got you."
Right.
And so like
Yeah.
you having to switch that hat so quick, I don't think people realize how hard that is, especially when your mind is processing 20 other problems at such a larger scale than like that one small ask somebody has that it's so important to them in the moment. That's a really big skill.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I see what you're saying too. Uh, by the way, love photographers, right? They're in the same boat as me. It's in the sense of like we're there to provide a service for the players, right? And yeah, there's money involved. We wouldn't be able to do this if we weren't making money to be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is love to wanting to provide something for the players and the vendors and stuff. So again, you're there trying to do something for others, and sometimes you get like bombarded, and it's hard to stay positive with that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it's you have to have all those hats ready, um, and dealing with all the vendors and the players. I mean, dude, you could be going to, like you said, do something really important, and then just a player from a league in Ohio just wants to say hello,
Yeah, and catch up.
and I'm basically stiff arming people walking down that main alley, and I feel so bad about it, but it's just I'm in work mode,
Yeah,
and I'm just trying to get this important task done.
yeah,
Um, and it's a hard thing to balance, especially when you've been there for so long. A lot of people don't realize that you've been there for so long, and some people want instant gratification with things, right? Like I've had vendors on site since Monday before, so they've been there 5 days before the event started or whatever, right? And then I'll have people show up Wednesday and expect things done like like there's no one else on site. Like there's not players and fields to take care of now. Vendors are open and they have those needs. And then you come at me, where's this? Where's that? And it's like, you just got here,
yeah,
get in line, dude. Like, if
yeah,
you want to have that energy of like, of being on top of things, then get here a day earlier, when we're doing this stuff and let's make this happen. But um, for the most part, people are really thankful. It's a really nice job. It's rewarding, right?
yeah.
Because I look at the vendors as the lifeblood of the event. Seeing everybody come down that main strip and things are selling and there's all the cool new stuff and all the players are excited and everything. Like, that's one of my favorite moments of the event, like where all the hard work feels worth it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's one of those things that sometimes we take for granted, right? Is like when you turn that corner and you see the row of vendors, and if you just stand there for a little bit, and I recommend everybody do this at some point if you have time. When you're at an NXL event, just go stand and just watch. And like you can just watch the interactions of people talking, laughing, going in and out of booths, just thinking that a week ago that was, like you said, just a cow pasture or a blank field. And now you have literally a village of businesses that are running where people are going in and out of, they're buying things, transactions are happening. Like that takes so much work to do that. I think we've all seen the horror stories of like the Fire or Fry Festival, whatever it was.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and essentially, NXL is building something similar to that every few months and breaking it back down. And if something doesn't go right, like that could shut down a whole entire vendor row. And so there's
Right.
so much pressure in what you do to make sure that people from all around the world are having a positive experience, even if it's fleeting, even if they don't realize it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where when you're in a position like I am, um, you you just have so many things on your mind.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm an anxious person. I'm medicated for depression and anxiety. A lot of people wouldn't figure that. I wear a really good mask and I love my job, so I can really dive in and focus on it, right? But it also, it has its negatives, right? Um, but shit, I'm sorry, Dan. I kind
No,
of lost
it's
thought on that one, buddy.
I'll actually go with you because thanks for bringing that up because the last week's episode I actually talked about my burnout at World Cup and going through World Cup, like everyone's coming up to me and they're having these conversations like, hey, how are you? And like just the switch goes on, right? I'm like, oh, I'm great, like things are going so good. And I'm like no, it's like I am so tired right now, like I am so burnt out. But it's like you wear this mask where you don't want to tell them and like bring down their experience, like kind of bring them down. Uh,
Right.
and I won't say the person's name just out of respect for him, but I was talking to one of the pro players and somebody had walked up to him and they're like, hey, how are you doing? And he was like, well, what answer do you want? And like I kind of put off the person. He was like, I don't know, I'm just curious how you're doing. He was like, I'm making it right now. And like the
Right.
person didn't know really how to respond to that. And then when he walked away, like I had a beautiful conversation with this player. And I said, listen, man, like you get to put that out there, right? If
Right.
you want them to to be able to carry your story, that's your choice.
Mhm.
And what I've learned over the past few years with going to these events, we're all doing it. We're all putting masks on when someone says, "Hey, how are you?" The default answer is like, "Oh, I'm great. Life is amazing," when really it's not
Right.
sometimes. What I've learned is if you really care and you really want to know about people, ask them a second time. So if I'm like, "Hey,
Yes.
Roderick, how are you?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm doing great." I'm like, no. But like, really, how are you? You'll
Yeah.
see the deer headlights come on. Like, oh shit. Actually, you know what? It's been kind of hard lately.
Yeah, no doubt. If you ask me, Roderick, how's it going? And I go, yeah, the event's going really smooth. That means I'm struggling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm here to build the event. So
Yeah.
as long as that's good, screw it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think as I know that I have big energy, right? Like whether I like it or not, I have big energy. And it's when you have big energy, it's your responsibility for what kind of energy you're putting out there, right? You can be an asshole, sure, right? That's fine. That's your whatever, right? But I like to put out the best energy I can for everybody because usually someone's having like a worse day than you,
Yeah.
um, and life ain't that bad. But if you just have two people who are in a bad space, it's just going to feed off of each other, right? So sometimes I just think it's better to just put out the positive vibe, even if I'm not feeling it, you know.
Mhm.
I the fake it till you make it thing. I do a lot of that, right? But then the end of the day comes, and I think about the kind of day that I've had, and I go, "Oh shit, I had a really good day.
Yeah.
It was a really positive day." So, sometimes that works, right? But just like with that, the player, right? Like that's your chance to bond with somebody that
Yeah.
like a fan that like cares about you or somebody who's interested in your career. And like I think the biggest thing like paintball doesn't have is like following for the players, and obviously like the people who are interested in the players and the sport are players, right? So it's a very small pool, right? So I just feel like in a in a world so small, don't be a prick, right? Like you need that jersey sale. You want that person cheering for you in the stands. Um, that guy's gonna go tell his friends about that interaction, right? And I'm not saying you always gotta, be like, oh man, things are so good. How are you? Whatever, but like you can things are good, but we could be playing better. Have a good day, man. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to you can, it doesn't always have to be like sunshines and rainbows, but just, even as a person, you should want to look for things to get better anyways, right? Like,
Totally.
so I just don't really understand the negative outward mindset like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a spot for both of it, right? And I think whatever the person is comfortable sharing in that moment, because maybe paintball is an escape for them, and like
Right.
the anxiety and depression, maybe when they go to these events, that's a way to shut that part of their brain off, and when you said you had, you've suffered through anxiety and depression, I see you, and you've got, like you said, you've got this big energy, and I would have never correlated those two. That wow, you're actually going through these things, inside as well. Um,
Right.
but I think that's the surface level of where we are as just people in general and in the community, is like whatever we see, like that's what we have at face value. And sometimes you don't understand that someone's going through something else until you hear it. And then it's like, oh shit, I had no idea you're going through that.
Yeah.
But we're all, like you said, we're all literally wearing masks at a paintball field.
Yeah. And I mean, paintball is a place of escapism, you know. I always I call it like the sport of rejects,
Yeah.
and no offense to anybody, right? But this is where like, you just see a big variety of people. You see a lot of people who have been through something or another playing paintball, right? And usually like I feel like people are in paintball when something bad happens, and then paintball is the good through line that like carries them on, right? So
Yeah.
then it becomes like hard to leave. And I'm so grateful for that because like paintball has saved my life, you know what I mean? I've been through some things, right? And so um, paintball has always been the consistent rainbow for me through whatever darkness I've been in. Um, and Yeah, I mean, it's just you come here and you can kind of put all your troubles on a shelf. You get to be ultra competitive, right? You get to be a human hunting a human, right? Real primal shit. You're there with your homies, and it's just such a good place to kind of lose yourself for the weekend, you know? Um, and it's a good mental reset too, you know. I definitely miss what I got from playing paintball,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
getting that competitive nature out and bonding with the boys and stuff like that is always a good benefit of it.
Yeah, thanks for going down that path because I think you and I have a similar experience there, right? Where like paintball is this insanely special thing to both of us, but since we're not playing on a weekly basis, we don't have the same experience as players where they get to go back to the team house, they get to go have that special bond. Um,
Right.
as a media guy, like I go back to my own hotel room and like while everyone's doing their thing, like I'm there mashing,
Looking,
edits on my laptop. Um, and so it's crazy that like this sport is it's so unique to where it is still an escape for us, even though we're not playing, even though we don't have the adrenaline firing like the players. These weekends are still a way for us to like shut off the outside world and just literally think paintball for 24/7.
oh, it's the best, man. It's the best because, you know, all that hard work. I work on the pro field mostly as a field manager, pro field and semi-pro, which and I just take care of those fields, which basically just means I work really, really hard physically, and then I get to watch and work around the best paintball in the world for multiple days, right? And it, yeah, I'm not running around adrenaline up, you know, but I get to enjoy this at its highest level, and I built that, and so that's a really awesome feeling. But it's it's really hard. Um, Sorry, Dan, lost my train of thought.
You're good.
It's um it's always tough to kind of like be around those spaces and not feel that same adrenaline that they're feeling though.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that, right? Because like when you're around the players before a match starts and you hear whatever the team huddle is and they're getting fired up, like you kind of feel some of that energy. Or the flip side,
Right.
they just lost a match and you see players coming off and maybe they're crying, they're sad, and like you kind of feel that energy too. So like we're still kind of feeding off of that in a way.
Yeah.
And one thing I would love to like tie into for those that haven't seen it yet, like the latest edition of Great American Paintball that came out at Cup, you actually had an article in this, whole 2-page spread in like
I
an
couldn't
iconic
believe it.
paintball magazine. Um, First of all, talk to me about that because I've got an article in here too, and I had my own experience with this, and those same words that you just said, I couldn't believe it, are the same ones that I said. It's like, what was
Oh
it like
shoot.
having like seeing this for the first time and like actually having an article in here?
Um it was amazing, you know. It, it's really cool to be recognized for something like that. Seeing that for the first time, I took a bunch of pictures and sent them to like my mom. Uh,
I
um,
made it.
it was yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So when you're young and playing paintball, you want to make the pro field, right? That's like your goal is to make a pro team.
Yeah.
And I had to have knee surgery, so tournament paintball kind of went out the window there.
Yeah.
Then I was working in paintball, and then long story short, became pro scorekeeper, right? And so I made the pro field in my own way, right? Like I still made the pro field. And that was something I celebrated, right? And that was just like a private thing. Like I thought that that was cool. I don't care if anyone else thinks that's cool. I'm thrilled to be here, you know? And I just loved being there and scorekeeping. And then the, um, they approached me for the article, and it's like, oh, people care that I'm in this position, you know? That's surreal,
Yeah.
right? And I just think it's really cool that they're highlighting people that aren't players, of course. But like for me personally, it's like, oh, holy shit, no, I made the fucking pro field. Like
Yeah.
I'm that guy. Like I I must be doing something right if people want to hear more from me. And I think that was kind of like an eye-opening thing for me, that like I am doing a good job. I have made it. Um, and like I'm somebody here, and I don't care about that kind of thing, right? But um for me, in my head, doing a good job is what's expected, and you shouldn't be like you're supposed to do things perfect, and if it's not perfect, you're fucking up. So I don't celebrate myself a lot, right? I don't celebrate my accomplishments a lot. It's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So sometimes it takes somebody going, look at your 2-page spread, for me to be like, oh fuck, I've been doing pretty good. Like this has been working out. This is it was thrilling to see that for the first time and have something to share. And then like having people come up to me and saying that they read my article, and even that, like just I didn't know that about you, and all those different kinds of things. And it was really cool to just be able to share that. And now I'm here with you sharing more.
Yeah. So there's so much to unpack there. I'll work backwards. So like with you being on this podcast, obviously we're kind of in the off season, but like the next time you go to an event, I'll put money on it. Someone's going to come up to you and be like, hey, like I heard you on the Shellda podcast. I didn't realize fill in the blank. And like,
Yeah, you finger so much when you're trying to talk. Yeah.
and like now that's going to happen, to you more where like you're opening up yourself personally to the paintball world where people that may have seen you or, people part of your setup crew that you see every month are going to learn more about you and now understand you on a deeper level, right? Like there's just something so powerful about that. And then when you said you made it to the pro field, I think that right there is, I want to unpack that because I think so many people, and we'll go specifically in the paintball community as a kid, you dream of playing for whatever your favorite team is, right? Dynasty,
Yeah.
Impact, now Paintball Fit. But then something will happen throughout your life, and maybe it's an injury like you had or something happens. And for a lot of people, it just kills that dream. And you
Mhm.
just like completely shut it off. But for you and I, who we both wanted to make it to the pro field one day, if we went back and told that kid, like, hey, you're not going to make it as a player, but you're going to make it as a field manager, an IT manager, as a photographer,
Right.
I think we would be like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But
That
it's
sounds
still,
kind of lame,
yeah, but it's still such a special moment when you finally are there. Because, this
Right.
is now my third cup, and every cup so far, I've stood on the field, and only people that have been on the pro field will know this. On the Gaylord side of the snake side of the field, there's a patch of grass. It's about 3 or 4 inches, circle, and it's about this tall. And for whatever reason, it's like just this clump of grass that's like rock hard, and people trip over it and like they kick it.
Yeah.
Um, but for every year, it's there, and like there's no one mows it down. And I actually took a picture of it this year, and every time I see it, I'm like, man, I'm back on the pro field. It's the smallest thing, but like it makes me like, holy shit, like I'm here.
Yeah.
This is an experience that no one else is going to have. Like seeing all the banners, seeing the players come out, seeing the Chick-fil-A cow. There's thousands of people at home watching, through YouTube and Go Sports, but like I am one of the, let's say 20 or 30 people standing on this field right now. It's such a special, surreal moment.
Yes, it is. I mean, gosh, man, it's especially like for me, walking out onto the field once like everybody's there, like right before the teams play, and like those those poles, the nets, everything, we've touched all that, right? Whether
Yeah.
you're the guy that put it up or helped unload it or whatever, th- all my hard work over those days, all the hard work of the crew, all everything that we've done, boom, actuated, live, happening right here. And so being on the pro field and seeing that is like a very special moment, like you said, because it's just like, man, we made it,
Yeah.
like no matter what, like we made it here too,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Talk to me about a little bit more about that, because I think I want to say it was at some point throughout the weekend at Cup, you and I were catching up a little bit, and a little bit of backstory here. I think over the last 3 years, if we had accumulated the time that you and I have spent together, it's probably 20 minutes tops, right? It's like micro conversations like, hey, how are you? And it never goes any
Yeah,
deeper than that. But like,
no,
you're always a face when I see it's like, oh, that's Roderick. Like, I got to talk to him for a minute. Um,
yeah,
but you made a comment. You're like, oh yeah, I got here at 4:30 this morning at the event.
yeah,
And so not only are you there for days beforehand, but you're now working 12, 14-hour days. Like,
yeah. 14-hour day minimums during Cup, we get there about 4:45 to make sure that the parking lot opens at 5:30. So just all the generators and everything need to be on. Vendors need to have some guy. There are people teching guns by 5:30 in the morning, right?
wow.
That means the power's got to be on. Everything else has got to be on. So yeah, we're there pretty early. I always like to joke. My reward for a hard day or for a hard week of setup is a longer and earlier day,
Yeah.
and and then you get to do that. But it's uh it's nice because again, dude, it's like it's my baby, right? Like I've been here with the crew for 10 days. Who else is going to turn on the generators? Who else, And I want to be there, you
Yeah.
know? And it's really surreal. A lot of my favorite moment is once everything's built in the morning before all the players get there at like 5 in the morning and walking through the site and it's just quiet and it's this calm before the storm. All the trash is picked up. It's this super clean, just like calm. And it's you don't get to walk through the event and it be calm, And it's a lovely start to my day, getting
Yeah.
there that early and just getting to see it like that. And then you hear the voices, 5:30 in the morning in the dark, players start showing up. It's so good. It's a lovely little moment for me in the morning.
Yeah. Gosh, if you were to take out the word paintball and just replace it with anything else and have that same conversation, people think, oh, that sounds like such a lovely like day, whatever you're going into. Not this like
Yeah,
very
dude.
violent sport.
Well, that's I guess I guess that's a very yeah, like you said, like a very soft mentality for a morning of paintball.
Yeah.
But again, it's my calm before the storm.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Like I feel that too, because as a not all media gets there early. I like to get there before the sun rises so I can get set up for the sunrise
Right.
and get some of those shots. And you're right. There's just, especially at World Cup, because there's so much sand and dirt, right? And so like there were so many mornings at this last event where I got there before the sun rose. And so all the cars pulling in still had their headlights on, and like just seeing all the fog and then walking through and just it was so quiet, but like what is it, humidity in the morning where like it
Right.
kind of has that mist throughout like the event.
Yeah.
Like it was just such a calming feeling walking through that. And then all of a sudden, an hour later, the voices start to chatter. You hear like a gun start chronoing off in the
Yeah. Way
distance.
in the distance. Yeah.
It's almost like an orchestra like starts to like just slowly get louder and louder.
Oh man, dude, it's like the first breath of a body.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's oh my gosh. And then an hour after that, somebody's getting motherfucked. It's the most beautiful sport in the world, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to dig a little deeper into the field manager aspect of it, because I think not everybody gets to be around the pro field, but I think you're obviously going to WC and USXBL. How do you, as a field manager, we'll first start with the pro field. How do you manage the field, but then also take your fan out of it, right? Because I think a lot of us are fans first. So it's no surprise. I obviously bleed blue. Like, I've got dynasty jerseys on my wall, but when I'm there shooting for the league, I've got to make sure I'm capturing moments for all teams, not just dynasty. It's like, how do you turn that fandom off?
So I guess for me, I've never been a particular fan of like pro paintball. I've been more of a fan of paintball my whole life, just the sport in general, right? Um, but I mean, some of my first coaches were active damage players, I'm from Florida, I started playing paintball at 15, 16 years old. So, it's very easy for me to compartmentalize that feeling. But at this point, I have so many bonds with so many different players from so many different teams. I don't have favorite teams or favorite players. I have friends that happen to play pro paintball. That's kind of how I look at it, right? So it's so bad that even like you've been on my field playing and just went like 0-4, and then I see you the next day. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And they're just like, dude, you asshole, you just watched me get blown out at the tournament. I'm not geared up right now. And I'm just like, oh, well, I'm just saying hi to a buddy. In my head, I'm saying hi to a buddy, not a guy that just lost a fucking event, right?
Yeah.
So, it's and then the problem sometimes comes where the players will recognize me and try to put Roderick, and it's like I'm scorekeeper to you right now. You know what I mean? We're not pals. I don't care what we've done before, and that doesn't happen so much on the pro field as much as like in the divisional world or different things like that, Um, I keep a level of professionalism. I've gotten this far because like when you're from Florida and you're repping Floridians, you know everybody. I hang out in the parking lot and have a chief before the day with somebody, and then I'll go and throw a major on them an hour later. I've never given a damn. I've taken pride in my neutrality and just it's work first. No one gets favors. No one's my friend when I'm clocked in, right? Like we're all just it is a job to be followed, and there are rules, and that's really easy for me to get with. I'm an army rat too, so it's sometimes you just follow the protocol, right? And then, but once that jersey's off, or once we're away from the pro field, let's crack a beer. I'll give you a hug, talk about how tough your day was, like. But at the field, in the moment, we're professionals. Like the hate shirt, enemies for an hour, right? I'm not your enemy, right? I work for the league, whatever, but that's how it is, dude. For this hour, we're two professionals dealing with each other, and we can be boys after the fact.
Wow. Thanks for going down that, because it's funny, as you were explaining that, my mind went right back to like, you wanted to be on the pro field so bad, and that's the exact mentality of a pro player. And I think I've seen that where most of the players in the league have some type of relationship with each other, right? Whether they're friends, but Tyler and Marcelo are a prime example from Play the Game, right?
Oh yeah.
Friends off the field, business partners, but the second that they play each other and then they walk through the nets, like for these next 60 minutes, like we are pure enemies. And so you're going into what you're doing with a pro player mentality. And that's something really hard to do. I don't think people realize actually how hard that is, especially in the paintball world, because for anyone that is working in the industry, playing in the industry, you have to juggle different hats, right? The other person that came to mind as you were saying that is Alex Fragi. In in a 10-minute span, and I saw it this weekend, in a 10-minute span, he is a player for Dynasty.
Mhm.
And then as he's walking, he has to switch that Hormesis hat on to be a business owner and sell things. And then he was also on the field taking photos throughout the weekend as well. And
Yeah.
so people are coming up to him, asking him about the team, asking him about what's going on. They're asking him about products. And like, if you can't switch that hat mentality, like it can be so draining, and it can be really taxing to all three of the hats that you're wearing.
Oh yeah. It can definitely be a struggle when you have to balance multiple things like that, right? Like hats off to Frazee for just being able to rotate through everything like that. Pretty much in stride, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally, like you said, see him in a jersey, look down to do some paperwork at the table, look back up, and he's walking by in a media outfit. And I'm like, the team hasn't even left the pit yet, I don't think. You know? He
Yeah.
just jumps right into it. Um, but yeah, it's, being like on the pro field and working and then getting a phone call about needing speakers for VIP for the national anthem. And while you're on the phone, getting a text from a vendor about where a package is. Meanwhile, you're covering on the pro field because your scorekeeper needed to do whatever, right? So
Yeah.
it's it can be super hard to manage all those hats and again to continue to treat everybody with like the respect they deserve and trying to be like a nicer person and things like that. It can be hard, right? So, hats off to people like Alex and stuff that can manage that so well.
Well, and hats off to people like you that can do that, right? Because as you're explaining that, when you go to a corporate job or a corporate job interview, one of the questions that is often asked is, hey, tell me about your time management, or tell me, how do you prioritize problems? How do you prioritize stakeholders or different tasks? And literally what your job is that, like, hey, I'm standing on the pro field. I've got this issue right now that I have to solve, but I also have my phone just went off. I have a text message here, and these are all fires that I have to put out. And you've got to figure out how to prioritize all those in a moment.
Right.
That's life skills that can translate very easily into a corporate job.
Yeah. Well, gosh. Hopefully I just keep finding more jobs in paintball because
Yeah.
corporate sounds awful. Um, yeah, man. And then the whole time you're going through all that, people want to stop and say hello,
Yeah.
and stuff like the walk from the pro field to the boneyard is where like that's where we keep all of our equipment and the crew is at, right? Well, all of our trailers, so anything that I would need to replace some things in the boneyard, right? So that's behind the semi-pro. So to walk from the pro field to the boneyard, you have to travel the entirety of the vendor row in front of the divisional row between the paint trucks and then go down. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to talk to you, um, and for more problems to get added to your plate. So it was a constant balance of wanting to work, trying to socialize a little bit, and trying not to be too much of an asshole when I was telling people I don't have time to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
That's
and it, and,
mentally
and it
exhausting.
and it sucks because, like you said, like some people are having like the time of their life right now,
Yeah.
and they just want to like say hi to their friend and give you a hug or whatever, and you got to like blow them off because it's just like, dude, I got 10 minutes to get the national anthem working, and because I didn't know it was running today, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It's a lot to juggle for sure. And I think one of the things that I've learned is when the day's done for me, I'm on this high all day of like having to be on and like meeting people. But like the second I leave that venue, like it just all, whew, I
Yes.
just like kind of shut down and I get so exhausted. My wife for a while, we kind of got into some arguments of like, why aren't you giving me the same energy that you're giving other people? And we finally figured out that it's like when I leave the venue, like I can finally decompress and like almost take a breath of fresh air. And she's now my safety to, hey, I need to shut it off just for a little bit.
Right. Yeah. and it can be hard, right? Like
Yeah.
a few years ago, I was engaged, had a fiance, and just the lifestyle didn't line up. You know what I mean? She liked me home. I was traveling a lot, and it just didn't work out, right? Um, because it's when I get off of work from being all social and people are going out to the bar together or going out to dinner, I usually have a microwave meal ready at the Airbnb and I read my book
Yeah.
and I'm in bed by 9:30, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And that's how I like to relax. I read my book, I go to my little fantasy land, and I don't talk to nobody. I live with three dudes, and I'm beyond a good night at the end of the night, and those are some of my best friends, right? Like the three guys I stayed with the crew, um, Bobby Durgan and Matt Soma, those are my boys, right? We got that's the private group chat group, you know what I mean? And they know, dude, hey man, it's day 10, bro. I'm gonna go read my book. I don't want to talk right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you got to do those different things. It's so emotionally draining.
Yeah.
And you have, like you said, just you're on constantly at the events, constantly all day long. Um, and yeah, we're similar. Just when I leave, I just have to turn everything off,
Yeah.
you know? And with I'm the shipping manager for the NXL as well. So
Wow.
I'm, I deal with the products coming in and leaving for all the vendors, like the pallets. A lot of things are in my name, stuff like that. So my phone is on for about 30 days for the entirety of Cup, scheduling deliveries and drops and needing to be accessible. And so, I mean, 8 o'clock, I've gotten phone calls about things. People live in different states, different time zones. So just again, like you're constantly on, like you said, and just finding those moments of peace. I don't want to be talking during them. I need that time to decompress and just kind of get away from people, and that's how I get through it.
Yeah, and you mentioned a little bit of that in your article, which I was actually envious of. I think at some point in there, you had mentioned when you were younger, you used to walk home from school, like, and you would be reading a book, and you would also have a book like at the ready when you do that. And I hated reading when I was a kid, but looking back now that I enjoy reading so much more that like it's a place for me to just kind of escape and turn off everything else that like it's so good for my soul. And it's like reading that I was so envious that you have that and that you find that place. Has reading always been there for you? Because I know you've like mentioned a few times like anxiety and depression. Like what has helped you realize that that's creeping back up, and how do you kind of manage that? I lost your audio. I think you might have gotten muted.
My mistake. I didn't turn back on after the
There you
vape
go.
hit. Um, so yeah, reading's always been a big part of my life. I grew up with asthma, right? Like
Yeah.
inhaler in the backpack type thing. Um, and yeah, and then you've watched me vape the entire time. I'm taking it for granted, I know. But I grew up with asthma, so I was a very indoor, like sickly kid, always sick on my birthday. So reading was like a big thing for me because again, bit of escapism,
Yeah.
right? Get to read about people running, which at one point was something I couldn't do, you know, different things like that, right? So that's always been really important to me. And then what was the follow-up for that?
Just how, you've mentioned anxiety and depression a few times in this, like,
Oh, right,
uh,
how I manage that.
yeah, because that's something I don't do well. When I feel anxious, or if I feel, for me, it's burnout, I don't recognize it almost until I'm like way in the burnout deep end. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
recognize that?
I mean, so it's one of those things where I've learned that I have to be proactive with it rather than reactive to it because then it's too late, right?
Yeah.
It's those days where you are feeling kind of good and you could go out for a couple of drinks, but instead you stay in and read your book again, right? And it's because if emotionally, when you're dealing with those kinds of things, it can be a little up and down, right? Where
Yeah,
you feel
sure.
better, you get some of that social battery back, right? And you want to go have some fun, and it's hard to balance being social and being and recovering, right? Like, because you
Yeah,
do, like, you're seeing these people that you only get to see so often. You want to go and hang out, but I really think about the preservation of my mental when I'm going into things. Um, and again, whether that's just having extra books on the tablet ready to go, makes it a lot easier to carry multiple books now.
yeah,
Don't need cargo pockets like I used to. Um, having those people that you can vent and talk to that kind of understand where you're coming from with it,
yeah,
that definitely helps as well. So it's just kind of like, and I like to talk about it. That was one of those big things that I learned, was talking about my problems and like expressing myself, different things like that. So, it's finding that like careful balance for me in that.
yeah,
So just using your time wisely, knowing when you need to talk to people, uh, reserving your energy and not expending it when you have the ability to.
yeah,
Because I know a lot of people come to something like World Cup or a paintball event, and it's this fun thing for them. But I'm working. This is a work trip for me,
yeah,
right? I've been working for multiple days in a row, long, long hours. A lot of people couldn't do what we do on the setup crew and stay consistent with it. And then to do that 35 weeks out of the year, um, it's tough. But yeah, it's just for me, it's just about preservation, knowing my little things that keep me happy, right? And just different things like that, man. But knowing that you're going to struggle is generally how I prevent struggling too hard.
yeah. I love that. That's where you're acknowledging it. That hey, you know what, this is going to happen. So let me just be upfront with it, so I can handle it and almost manage it in a way. And when we were preparing for this episode, when I had asked you, I was like, hey, one of the things that does people really connect with when they open up and they talk about something that somebody doesn't know about, and you were like, oh yeah, like I suffer through depression and anxiety, and you're like, but it's really good for me to talk about it. I just had
Yeah.
I had so much respect for you in that moment because one, it takes a lot of courage to admit that you are going through something, and then two, it takes even more courage to say, and I have to talk about it. So like
Yeah.
kudos to you for both of those because that takes a lot to do that.
Well, thanks. I've been through drug addictions. So it's like part of I've never been in the program, but I think it's part of the program is that you have to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And I spent years um, during the addiction dealing with the depression, anxiety coming in for the first time. I didn't have it my whole life. It was something that developed later in my 20s,
Yeah.
um, from drug abuse, and then life, right? Did have a tough life, right? And there was some signs that maybe it was starting earlier, but we ignored them. Um, but it's you have to talk about it because you have to normalize it
Yeah.
so you can gain those skills, right? Like if you're not talking about it or you're not going to therapy, right? You got to talk about it, get a soundboard. I use a lot of skills that other people have taught me from being open with it and acknowledging that this is a problem instead of keeping it in where you try to hide it and then you explode, right? So I'm real open, I'm real honest with it. Um, and the right people know what I go through, right? Like kudos to Fatty, the head of the setup crew, right? Super awesome guy. He's the kind of guy that will tell you to grab your balls and remember you're a man, but will also take you to the side and give you some real life advice or, talk to you. He's a good fella, you know what I mean? And he deals with my nonsense very well, right? But I'm fortunate that I have a bunch of really good people in my life that I can talk to, um, and can be open with. But yeah, now I'm to the point where I'll tell a stranger, like, yeah, dude, I had a heroin addiction. What's up? What do you need to know?
Yeah.
How can I help you with it?
Yeah, I mean, there's power in talking about something, because I think I've learned that too, through battling anxiety and little bouts of depression here and there. If I don't talk about it, then it's just like I just think about it all the time. And like then it
Yeah.
just, when you're doing that, you're just making it even worse. But the more you
Mhm.
talk about it, it's just like a skill in the paintball field. The more you practice, the more it becomes second nature, the more you can manage it in that moment.
Right.
And so it sounds like you've done a
Absolutely.
good job with kind of switching that gear and normalizing it in a way, not only for you, but for other people.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like men in general have been told to there there was an era where we weren't supposed to show a lot of emotion,
Yeah.
not supposed to talk about things like that. And I feel like the repercussions of that are still being there, you know what I mean? But I I hug my dudes. I tell them I love them. You can talk to me about your problems. I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
I might call you pussy still, but I'm still going to be there for you and try to help you get to a place and give you some skills and actually help you through this, right? But
Yeah.
we got to keep it fun a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having good people there has really helped a lot.
Yeah. People are the lifeblood of not only us as humans, but as the paintball community, right? Like there's just so
Yeah,
much connection between life and paintball. Uh, I think I've heard a lot this past year of, paintball is life and life is paintball, and like the skills that you learn in life transfer to the field or to the job, and then vice versa. The skills that you learn in paintball you can use outside in the real world too. So it's so
oh yeah,
crazy how they're connected.
yeah. It's really nice. Like a lot of my personal growth has been done in paintball, like through things I've learned in paintball. You can get so many perspectives from so many different kinds of people, and paintball really just breaks the mold, like when you're dealing with people, right? Like
Yeah.
you never really know what you're going to get. There's so many different personalities and so many different perspectives, and it's just nice to be able to interact with all that and
Yeah.
use those different interactions to build and find different tools for yourself.
Yeah, totally. It's important to have that. Um, we did talk about your role on the pro field with NXL, but I want to dive a little bit into some of the other leagues as well. Are you doing the same thing there? Because I think majority of this audience will probably see you at one of the smaller regional events, and so to see you
Right.
walking around, I would love for them to understand what your role is when they see you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sort of depends on the league you see me at, right?
Yeah.
So, for the MSXL, for instance, I do Chris Rail's job, which is I do the scoring inputs. I build the rounds and help
Wow.
the registration ins and outs and things like that, right? I'll do their network setup, the electronics for their field, and then I help put the bowls in the ground for the days before. So, um, you know, and then for the USXBL Dub C, it's more or less the same. I'm like their IT guy. They run so many fields that you basically need to have somebody available for any kinds of problems. Um, and I mean, I'll do everything from fix an internet connection to bring ice and water for the refs to have drinks, right? Like it really just depends on the different leagues.
Yeah.
Um, but mostly I'm in some sort of manager role, overtaking like the scorekeepers or again dealing with all the technology and different things like that, right? So that's the basis of it. Doing like paintball's version of IT and managing and
Which is
general
so
player putter router.
Yeah, which is so important, right? Because like if when something goes down, you're now responsible for literally hundreds of people's schedules getting pushed back and whatnot, and so there's a lot of pressure that goes into that. Um, one of the things I've loved about bringing people on that work kind of behind the scenes, like you, the referee, Matt Soma, who does this essentially full time. So many people want to work in the paintball industry and make a career out of it, but I just don't think they know how to. Um,
Mm.
you've found a way to make paintball your living, and it sounds like next year might be even busier because it sounds like USXBL is
Yeah.
now expanding into Florida. So there's going to be more events, which means you're going to be on the road closer to home, even more potentially. Um,
Yeah.
what is it? What has it been like having paintball be your career and working in something that you truly love?
Um, Now I enjoy it, and I feel like the fruits of my labor are, blossoming, I guess you could say. I'm in a really good position now. But it's a lot of grinding, man, to get to where I'm at, right? I was a guy working at the paintball field on weekends and repping scenario events, right? I grinded all the way from Division 6 paint or D5 paintball, repping D5 paintball to semi-pro before I had to have a back surgery, and that took me off the field, and I got to start scorekeeping. Um, so it's one of those things where you need to be willing to work a full-time job and get your foot in the door and build all that up because it's not an instantaneous thing. It took years to get to the point where I'm at, and I had to build a lot of skills and learn from a lot of different people to get to the spot I'm at, right? But I mean, to get your foot in the door, you just got to find a regional paintball tournament, right?
Yeah,
And that's how you start. You just got to start small.
yeah,
But this is, I mean, my full-time paintball is a very patchwork thing, right? I've got 6 or 7 different bosses. You know what I mean? I have to go different places and work for different people. Um, and getting those connections to be invited to go to the MSXL or get brought out to Cali for the Dub C, that all just takes time and effort and just staying in it and staying consistent and caring about your job and always trying to improve. You know what I mean? You have to be worth taking on these trips and you got to show your worth first. You know, I tried to get on the setup crew for the NXL for 3 years before I finally got accepted onto the crew,
yeah.
so it wasn't overnight, you know. So it's consistency and grinding it out really is how you get to where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's very similar advice to what I give when someone asks me, like, hey, how can I build a brand like you, or how can I get on the pro field like what you did? The first thing I always say is you have to be consistent with whatever you do.
Mhm.
But I think the second thing, and maybe it's just as important, and it's taken me a little bit to learn this. And I think you hit the nail on the head without really saying it. It's the relationships. Like paintball relationships are so delicate, so it
Yeah,
takes time to build those. And when you build those, you're building a foundation of trust within those relationships. But then when you have those relationships built, like a whole world unlocks for you of potential and opportunity because people start to know other people. And then if you have something good about you, like that also was a ripple effect as well, or vice versa. Maybe you're a
right.
jackass and like then that ripples out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? And I mean, for instance, getting to Cali was a goal from the time I started reffing, right? Like I wanted to go to California to work so freaking bad. Some of the guys who've been in it for a long time told me about how great it was, and I go to Cali now. It is that great, by the way. But the reason I even got invited to California was because scorekeeping the pro field, Mike Hinman witnessed me at my job
Yeah.
and he needed a guy. And I also, working on the pro field, I've got guys like Uldis. He's the owner of the PB Results Equipment. So he's the guy who builds the scoreboards and the buzzers that everyone's pressing is the tech at the NXL events, right?
Wow.
Anytime he came to my field, I watched what he did. I asked him what he was doing. It got to the point where when there was a problem, I wouldn't even have to call him anymore because I knew how to fix it.
Yeah.
Built those skills. Now I take those skills to Dub C where I set up that same equipment and I can tech it and work on it. Mike Hinman knows this because he's seen me doing it on the pro field. And then I get my invitation to come out to California. So
Yeah.
that's that staying consistent, staying present, always trying to learn and pick those things up, right? Because I'll be honest with you, scorekeeping is an easy job. That's why you see just a lot of people who get brought to paintball doing it, boyfriends and girlfriends. Hey, my boyfriend or girlfriend needs something to do. They don't know how to ref. All right, well, you can come over here and teach them how to scorekeep. It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
But that's why you should pay attention to everything going on because now you can fix your own problems and you can keep the field going. You're responsible in a way for keeping that field moving, right? So for me, I hated calling a guy and then having to wait 5 minutes for him to come fix something. And now my field's 5 minutes behind, and that time adds up. And on the pro field, there's a schedule that we're trying to keep with the broadcast and everything.
Yeah.
So it just pays to pay attention and try to learn everything you can as far as that goes.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, you're always looking for something to learn to bring back to yourself to improve who you are as a person, which is then going to improve your job, which is then going
Right.
to create more opportunities for you. So,
Bada bing, bada boom, right?
yeah,
Like it's a self-filling thing once you get it going.
yeah,
Um,
incredible.
but that's why you just, everyone on the pro field has seen me run to turn a pit monitor back on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you know, it's what you do when you don't think anyone's watching it. That's what they say, right?
yeah,
And so my father told me you work every job like it's a career. Like you want to be the best you can at it, like you're trying to get as far as you can at it, whether that's cleaning toilets or working in a fucking corporate office, right? Like you got to be the best you can at whatever it is you're doing. And if you put out that effort, in theory, eventually you should get rewarded for it, right? Like
yeah,
things, all positivity all comes around, right?
yeah.
So, and I am proof that if you stay consistent at something, try to be better at it all the time, that things will open up for you.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many mantras in paintball, right? There's like the whole keep struggling from Paintball Fit in that camp where just put in the work every single day and grind and something good will
You know,
eventually come. Like the reward will come at some point. Um, and I think not everyone is like that. But that same mantra that you're saying, that's for sure what I do on the pro field. Every
yeah,
time I step on that field, even though sometimes it's exhausting, I'm like, man, I'm so thankful to be here. Uh,
hmm
in working for the league as a media personnel is such an exhausting job because we're out there 12 hours a day getting shot at, having to go pump content throughout the day. But there's always a moment throughout that weekend where like I'll look over at David, the guy with the big orange beard, and
yeah,
Veronica, she flies over from Poland, and I look at them and like, hey, we are one of three people in the whole entire world who
yeah,
are
dude.
working for this. Like that's insane to think about.
hmm
And same thing for you. Like you are one person who is the pro field manager in the whole
Right.
entire world, the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's
that's what I thought was cool. And when I was scorekeeping on the pro field, I even tried to like instill that into the referees. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There are less like pro referees than there are players. You guys understand that, right? Like you guys are the best of the best. Like fucking have
treat it that
some
way.
pride in that. Um, I, that's something I'm big on. Like you should be proud of where you've made it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So it's cool to hear that like you're bringing that level into it because I think whoever is the next Roderick, right? Whoever is behind you at some point when you're not doing this anymore, like you're going to leave that for that person to like, hey, I have built this and like, this is the respect that this job needs. And so like, you better do that job.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I have high standards for things, man. Like,
Yeah.
and I try to be the employee in paintball that I would have wanted as a player, right? Somebody who cares, somebody who wants things to go properly, and like that's what I'm about, man. Like,
Yeah.
I just want everyone to be able to play this sport and enjoy it at whatever level that they're at.
Yeah.
That's my big thing.
Gosh, I love that. It's your passion. I hope people take that away from this episode. Like if there's one thing, we've talked about a lot, but if there's one thing, I think it's your passion of whatever you do, like pour your heart into it.
Yeah.
It's so important. I've got two more questions for you. One, the first one is, so you've gone from D6 referee to IT manager to pro field manager, traveling all across the country. You can go one or two ways with this. One, what's next for you? Or what else in the paintball world or industry would you like to work at or have a job with that you haven't yet?
Fun. You hit a fun thing. So next season, my like during the event job, I'll actually be working with Go Sports.
Oh,
We're
wow.
gonna figure out a spot there. Um, Looking to cam up. I got a little taste of it in Texas. I filmed the three man, and I really fell in love with running a camera because it's art, it's technology, and it's paintball, and those are like three things that I love it, and so then it's like I really feel like I'm bringing the sport to other people,
Yeah.
and my mom has a Go Sports subscription, so it's like I know my mom's watching, so like when I was filming. And I knew they were playing a replay that came out of my camera. My
Oh,
mom's talking about how crazy this shot is, and it's like, I filmed it. I freaking filmed it.
yeah.
Um, so the next goal is to try to get into the media world, and it's something that I think is really neat.
Yeah.
I've got a little taste of it here and there throughout my life. Some photography in high school. Once I tore my ACL playing football, I started shooting the football team and stuff like that. Some of my photos are in the yearbook, and I wasn't even in the yearbook club, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
Yeah, and I just think that the the production side of things, the cam mopping and things like that, it's another avenue of skills to gain, first off. And I really enjoy it. I enjoy the art of it. And then it's another possible avenue of work, right? I always want to work in paintball, but if I'm trained as a cam op and working with people who work in other sports, maybe I can go film another sport
Yeah,
and
totally.
add to my resume. And I think it would be cool to sort of step away from paintball in some aspects, working wise, because I feel like it will help me enjoy it more overall. Because
Yeah.
we talk about burnout at 30 events and 35 weeks of paintball, sometimes consistent, flying straight from Florida to Ohio to Texas to California, being on for a month, coming home with 4 days before I have to start building cup. You know, paintball burns me out. I don't mind being burnt out from work, but it would be nice if I could. Do I still have you, Dan? Okay. It would be
Yeah,
nice
you're good. I
if,
lost you for a second, but you're back. You're good.
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. But it would be nice to just be able to expand into other things, and then I feel like my enjoyment of paintball will go even higher.
Yeah, I think it'll be, what you're explaining, what you do off the field takes so much mental work to build something. It's a lot of logistics. But when you step on the field, you're using a different part of your brain where you're now having to capture a story. And so you're having to think about angles. You're having to think about how is this going to unfold. And I think you as a paintball fan, it's going to unlock that original love that you had for it in a whole
Yeah.
different world. There's something so magical about looking through a camera, right? Because like everyone's like, "Oh, did you see this move?" I'm like, "No, I didn't," because I'm looking at a 4-inch screen, trying to like capture, not even that, like trying to capture a moment.
Mhm.
But when you get that moment, like, gosh, there's I can't describe that feeling because then you just want to go share it with the world.
Oh,
Um,
it's so cool.
yeah, and so like it'll be cool to see how you're able to really find that love for that game again by being now back on the pro field in a whole different light.
Yeah. And even that, just doing that, the one time and everything, like I've been looking at cameras. You talked about wanting to show the setup and everything more, right?
Yeah.
I would, I'm looking at getting a camera because in the first thing I wanted to take pictures of was the behind the scenes, right? I thought
Yes.
it would be very cool if I could document a build, you know.
Yeah.
I got to make sure I'm working hard enough that Fatty doesn't yell at me for being on the camera, but I want to be able to like document the build and show that off, and not really the build, but as much as the guys behind the build, you know what I mean? And the people who put this on and stuff like that. Like I loved taking photos. I'll take some photos for the WC every once in a while. I love taking the photos of like people watching their teammates play. Oh my gosh, the emotion in the faces, is just I almost find that better than like the photos on the field, you know what I mean?
Agreed.
But it's so good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree because that's where like the pure emotion comes out because like they're watching their teammates and there's nothing they can do about it. And so you just see so many emotions come out in those moments.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man, the amount of times I've heard a player who started coaching come up to me and goes, "Roderick, this is way more stressful. It's way more stressful coaching than playing." I go,
yeah,
"Really?" They're like, "Yeah, because I can't fucking do anything. You know what I mean? It's
your
it's all
control.
on them."
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Man, Roderick, this has been so much fun. I hope people that are listening in will see you at events now and have a much more appreciation for what you're doing for the different leagues that you're working at because it's such an important job for what you do, right? And maybe this is a cool kind of moment where maybe this time next year you're actually on the pro field behind a camera. So it'd be kind of a cool, like serendipitous moment if you just talked about
Yeah,
that and that those roads kind of came true.
yeah. Fingers crossed. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So I'm always excited for the next season. I'm excited for the growth and what the paintball world can bring.
For
I
sure.
love this shit, man.
Same. Well, I've got a closing tradition that I do on all of my episodes. I always have a guest leave a question for next week's guest without knowing who's coming on. Um,
Right.
and so this is one of the questions that you actually don't know is coming. But it's always cool because like people, I've had them ask questions all over the place. Some have been paintball specific questions. Some have been like very just life philosophical, whatever the word is, questions.
Right.
Um, but the one for you that was left for you without knowing you were coming on is actually from San Diego Dynasty's Arturo Andrade. I had him on a few weeks ago, and his question for you is if you had a genie and you could have one wish, what would that wish be?
Oh man, dude. What an on the spot question, right? It's like, oh man. Oof. Oh my gosh, Arturo, why'd you do this to me, dude? There's no good answer for this, you know what I mean? If I don't say cure cancer, then I'm a scumbag, right? You know? Um, Genuinely, man, I just wish that I wish everyone could find like peace in the world and all the fucked up shit stopped. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like if you could just think of something that pops up fucked up and it's happening in the world, it just goes away. You know what I mean? No more of these fucking child wars and all this rape and these trafficking. If all that could just that would be my wish.
I love that.
That would
That's
be huge.
incredible answer. I think, spreading more love in the world is definitely a powerful thing if we're able to eventually get to that spot. I love that.
Yeah.
Pressure's off, man. You get to leave a question for next week's guest now without knowing who it is.
Okay. One jumps out at me. What's your favorite tunes to listen to prior to if you're player to playing, but if you're not a player to whatever you get hyped about, what's your favorite tunes to get hyped with?
Yeah, gosh, that's a good question. And I'll tell you off air if it all works out, I'll tell you who one of the two guests might be. And it'll be really good to hear their answer because that's actually something I think about a lot, right? Because like almost every single player before the match, they've got AirPods in and they're doing something to get in the moment, whether it's music, it's meditation. And I'm always so curious of like, what are they listening to like help them get into that mindset?
Well, there you go. You got a little segment you can do next event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Got you, dog. Good content.
Yeah, I do that. There's a local player here in Austin. His name is Wyatt, and every time he comes up to practice, he's got AirPods in, and I stop him like, Taylor Swift today? He's like, no, not today. He says some other artist.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Roderick, this has been awesome, man. I hope you can, unplug a little bit this off season for whatever off season we do have, and recharge the batteries because we're definitely going to need you next year because your work is so important for the paintball industry.
Thanks, man. I'll be there. They stopped asking if I'm going to come. They just assume I'll be there now. So it's nice.
Good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate you. Always got a great vibe at the events. We may have only talked 20 minutes in our whole career, but it's been a damn good 20 minutes. And I always look to you because you've got that good vibe that sometimes I need.
Same.
You've heard me come into that. You've heard me come into that pro media tent and just vent. You know what I mean? Say some things that I didn't get to say to whoever was making me want to say them. So you are appreciated. I think you do great work, and I hope you carry on, bud.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that media tent is definitely a safe space. A lot of things have been said in there and it doesn't leave that tent.
Sanctuary.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, to everyone else tuning in, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Shellda podcast, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.